Hey dudes. All right. Cool. I've put that out there. Alright. Getting that out there. I think that's that done. Only you would find a way to text me so even in the middle of a live stream. Getting text in the middle of a live hangout. How dare I? You can see I'm Mr. Popular these days, clearly. Hello everybody, Dre here. Hope you guys are doing cool. As you probably know, I am currently under lockdown here in London, England. So I thought, why not take advantage of the opportunity and do a hangout like I've traditionally done before with you guys. I'm just going to turn the light on real quick because the sun is going down over here in London, probably in the next hour or so. So that's actually a little bit brighter. That'll do nicely. So, yeah, I am here. Hope you guys are doing cool. Sorry my hair's a little bit out of whack. I've literally just come out of the shower. It's really puffed up in there. So you know, it's a little bit wild at the moment, but apparently the big hair suits me, so I'm gonna go with it for a little while. It's not like I can get it fixed anytime soon because my barber's closed his shop today for foreseeable for the foreseeable future. So that's not ideal, to say the least. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing cool. I'm starting to see some names fly in, so hope you guys are doing great. I'll touch the chat in just a sec. We'll put that out on there. One sec. Just showing off to the Discord. Pardon me for my keyboard being loud. I do have a mechanical one, so it's a bit louder than most standard keyboards. Hey, we got Gavin in here. Hello, Gavster. Nice to see you, man. Long time no see. Currently sat in an Amazon canteen wondering where my life went wrong. Look, man, you're in an Amazon warehouse. You're featured on TV. It's like there's no negative press that ever runs through an Amazon warehouse. Ever. Not in a million years. Nice to see you, buddy. Thanks for thinking of me. Say hi to the missus for me when you get a chance. I know she's going back into the NHS today, so please pass on my regards and well wishes. I know it's not ideal for not just her, but a ton of people that are working very, very hard in the NHS right now, trying to look after the sick right now. We're up past 8,000 cases for those guys who are not in the UK that haven't been keeping up. Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, put us under a full lockdown last night. Well, I say full lockdown, it isn't really a full lockdown, it's more, only go to work if the bosses are forcing you to come in, and you're allowed to leave the house once to exercise. That's about as far as it goes. Which is a loophole that will blatantly get exploited by any and all shouts. Just saying, oh, I'm gonna go get food, or I'm gonna get some pills for my mum because she's got a headache or something, or she's got a cough. It's blatantly gonna get exploited, and it took a full lockdown and to get people to fucking listen to this. So God only knows what happens between now and then, but we'll have to wait and see how we go. Hello Vic, good to see you. Hello Connor, I'm doing alright, man. I'm doing alright. Still, spirits are still high. I've not left my house now in nearly 4 days. It is actually, I really am probably just going to go out for a walk tonight, because it is not the best for your mental status to be holed up in your bedroom for basically 18 hours a day, every day. I've already spent money on buying a new version of Trivial Pursuit for the family, and just so I'm trying not to go too crazy. But honestly, I've been pretty chill so far. I'm not gonna lie, I've been okay, but I know a lot of people haven't been so lucky on that front. So I will say from the start and say from the top, please look after yourselves. Talk to people. My inbox is always open for DMs, so if you ever feel like you need someone to talk to, my inbox is open, and I don't sleep till 3 in the morning most nights, so if you need to get in touch, then knock yourself out. Have a good time at work, buddy. Have a good one. Like I said, pass on my regards to G as well. It is harder for me than usual because my sister Kendra is high risk. Because of the chemotherapy she had as a child when she was battling leukemia, her immune system is weaker than most people. So she is high risk from this virus, so I kind of owe it to the family to stay indoors as much as I can and just, look after folks and look after everybody. So it is tough in that regard, but, you find ways of keeping yourself distracted. As I mentioned it earlier, Ryan has got Disney Plus now, so I was watching old episodes of The Simpsons on there earlier, and that was great. Homer at the Bat is still the greatest Simpsons episode of all time, without any doubt. But yeah, just saying that, guy. Hi Kelly, nice to see you. The cookies are in the mail, I promise. Hello Vic, hello Connor, hello Henry. Happy Multi 21 Day, everybody. Oh wow, today is the 7th anniversary of Multi 21, the most overblown team orders scandal in the history of F1. God, I don't even really want to get into that. Dear. Sorry guys, Zoe is texting me, so I've got to say hi as well, because she's watching deep in the bowels of Scotland, as you do. But I thought I'd drop it in there. Also, we got some of the M101 crew in here as well. King is here and Lewis is here. Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are doing all right and whatnot. Could be keeping yourselves busy. Again, like I said, hope you're not going crazy either. because you know I haven't gotten to that point yet. But it is only day 3. But yeah, I hope you guys are all doing good. I'm just gonna record a quick Instagram advert for this as well. 1 second. Hey guys, Dre here. We are live right now on YouTube. YouTube.com/Motorsport101. Check it out. Come say hi. We have cookies. Hey guys. So yeah, like I said, I promised I would do at least one of these during the... Guys, I had a feeling that we'd be in lockdown soon enough, so I felt like I had to do at least one of these and talk to the masses, especially given that... you know, especially given that M101 is probably going to be a bit lacking for content for a little while, unfortunately, as mentioned as well on the Discord and on our Patreon as well and all of that. So, you know, doing shows bi-weekly instead of the norm is never ideal. So, you know, you try and make it work, but I thought I'd at least try and keep you something. Keep something in the meantime. But, yeah, you know, I hope you guys are all doing cool. If you guys have got any questions or any shit you want me to talk about, knock yourselves out. I do not mind. I am here for all of it. Do keep me posted as the time goes on. I'm going to do a couple of hours, I think, so maybe until like 8:15 or something. So yeah, keep let me know how you guys are doing. Hi Joe, nice to see you. Only OGs remember Grid Week. What's Grid Week? Is my mind drawing a blank right now? Someone remind me. Oh, John T's here. Hello, John T. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing all right, my man. But yeah, so Vikesh, I'm dreading the shit show I'm going to walk into when I go back to work next week. You're only down for 2 weeks? Jeez. Oh, yeah, because you're a part of the NHS, my man, aren't you? So, of course, the downtime's not going to be very long. Jesus, that's not ideal. But, you know, do try your best, man. I know it's not ideal at all, but, you know, we're thinking of you, Vic. You got a lot of people in this nation behind you. Oh, my... For those guys who don't know in the chat, Ricky Kennedy's one of my old work colleagues. I used to work with him when I was at William Hill. The first man that ever managed me in a William Hill was that man. I wouldn't be the manager I am today if it weren't for him, so I sincerely apologise. Hello, Rick. Nice to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing all right. Oh, the wallpaper, Johnsy. Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. It's like it's part Newcastle United, part like one of those jokes about mental hospitals, like, and you know how the walls are painted black and white just to stop them from going mad. I know it's not exactly a ringing endorsement, but yes, it has always been that way. My room got renovated about 13 years ago, I want to say, and for some reason that was the wallpaper. I didn't get any influence in this because I was like 14 at the time, but they chose black and white as the theme colours for the room, and that wallpaper has been there ever since. As you can see now, it is like I'm trying to point to the right spot now. There. Like, you can see it's starting to fade because it's been on the wall for so goddamn long. It's actually worse on the other side because the way this house is, the boiler is right next to the other side of the room. So, the heat that the boiler comes off to have it there, like, it's actually, like, partially melted the wallpaper over the years. It's really weird. Like, if a room gets renovated again, I'm like second on the list behind the kitchen. The kitchen's got to get done first because we had a cowboy do that like 10 plus years ago and we never got around to fixing it. So that I think I'm second in the queue, if I'm honest, because Kendra's room got done last year. The loft got done about 3 years before that, so this is now technically a 4-bedroom. Yeah, don't ask why my room is so weird, but this is the nerve centre. It's always been this way. The only difference now is I've got the enormous bed behind me because I needed my old bed broke. It's the nature of Sadly, I wasn't inviting anybody home to share it with, but I am still like a 20 stone bloke, so unfortunately, doubles aren't ideal. That's a king size. Better be safe than sorry. Oh yeah, quite right. I did do a grid video every day for a week. But you know. God, those were the days, weren't it? Me doing a video every day for a week. Wow. That was when I was back at university still. Jesus. Luckily, I had like a USB port and like super fast internet at uni, so I could upload a video in like 30 seconds. It was great. So I was just recording content after content after content at home, and then just going into uni the following day, just using the computer rooms there or the computer labs and just uploading stuff. So yeah, I do remember that now. Still the best project I've ever done on my original channel by a mile. That grid was fantastic, and I loved playing that game. It was the one game that was just short enough where I could make it work into a Let's Play without losing interest, but also just as I'm terrible with committing to projects, so the fact that one came out in the end was amazing. It is still up in YouTube, by the way. If you want to go to my old channel, Harrison 101, you can find it on there. It is still up there in all its glory. I never got rid of it, amazingly. So it is still up there for for the time. And yeah, I did go through about 3 laptops in the time I was a YouTube personality doing all that. Laptops are not built for rendering, people. Thank God I've got an actual computer now that's a half decent one, because boy, you do not want to get into that habit of blowing up laptops via piss poor rendering, I tell you. Let's go to the chat real quick. Oh, Kelly, your mother works in a care home even though she's not on the front line. Oh man, Jesus, yeah, God. Care homes, again, I can't even imagine what that's like, Cal. I hope your mum's doing alright, because I know that's not ideal, and I know they're going to be stretched as well, given obviously probably the extra intern of vulnerable older people, unfortunately. So I hope your mum's doing alright as well, Cals. Free gun salute for every dead laptop. Very true, very true. Okay, Dre's bedroom of doom. Yeah. See, look, I can't put that on a Tinder profile, can I? Dre's like, yes, darling, come round. I like long walks down the beach, ice cream, motorsport, and if you're really lucky, you can visit my bedroom of doom. I don't think that's gonna work somehow, but here we are. If I'm ever that lucky, then if they can put up with the rest of that shit, then I really have made it. Just don't tell my ex that. That's my juice, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. But Harold asked me a question. Hi Dre, what past F1 team would you bring back to make this season not be F1 2019.5? What team would I bring back? God, good question. Because that's the thing. All the dead teams that have gone in recent times, like, none of them were competitive anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe BMW. Maybe Toyota. Toyota quit at the completely wrong time. Like, Toyota quit after 2009, just when they were starting to get their shit together. Like, to be fair, they were always a decent, like, midfield to upper midfield team. But then everyone and their mother says they were just about, like, apparently their 2010 car was going to be a monster. And then Toyota pulled out of the sport right when it was just apparently going to be an amazing car they were going to have. And that's gutted, because we'll never know how good that 2010 Toyota would have been. So, you know, I'd have loved to have seen the world's, second biggest car firm right now being F1 again. With some budget and funding and good drivers. You know, that team had a lot of potential, and it never really fully realised it, which is really a shame, because, you know, they were just starting to get there, and then it all just came on top. Sad face. Connor saying, sorry if you spoke about this before, but what do you expect the F1 grid to look like when drivers like Hamilton and Vettel are gone? Does Red Bull stay the same? Russell to Mercedes? It's a good question. I mean, looking at the state of the grid right now, Hamilton is 35 years old now, I think. He's, on paper, you would think he's in the twilight of his career. I don't think Hamilton would strike me as the guy that would race into his 40s. But at the same time, he's still so good. And I don't know. It's weird because on one hand, Hamilton is the way this season's playing out now with the coronavirus and the fact that the new rules are probably going to get pushed back to 2022. That might have opened up another championship for Hamilton that you could overtake Michael without even, having to worry about a new set of regulations to worry about. So that could be an incentive for him to stay a bit longer. But he's also out of contract at the end of this season. So I don't know whether he'll be motivated to keep going. I mean, he has got a lot of outside interests. He could easily go into music or fashion. He's got the money and the outlet for it if he really, really wanted to. But as everyone else in the chat is seemingly saying, if you're winning, why would you want to hang it up right now? You've got no reason to quit. And if anything, Hamilton's had one major career change in his entire F1 life, and he nailed the timing perfectly, basically. So I don't see any reason for that to happen. Sebastian is a bit more interesting. Sebastian definitely isn't the sort of guy that says he's going to race into his 40s. He's got a young family at home. I think he's already alluded to the fact he wasn't going to be a 40-plus sort of driver. He was already thinking about retiring at 31, apparently, and here he is now at 32. I don't see him being in F1 that much longer, personally, because I think he's got bigger things to think about and worry about, like his family. He's a massive family man, Sebastian. So, I don't know, but what happens after that? It depends. Ferrari's got a lot of tools they could potentially get into the F1 ladder if they do well in Formula 2. Obviously, Robert Schwartzman, maybe Marcus Armstrong, maybe even Callum Ilott, for example. So they've got options in their academy they could easily start pumping into the system from as early as next year if they really wanted to think big. Unless Ferrari go for a great big, another vanity, big name, big money signing. There's always talk that Hamilton might jump ship to Ferrari. I can't see it personally, but it's certainly a possibility. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. I don't think any major seismic shift is going to be for another couple of years yet. I think Hamilton will stick around and sign maybe one more big contract, maybe 2 or 3 years. That will take him to 2023 or something like that. And, yeah, Joe's right. It is kind of hard to believe now that Lewis Hamilton's the second oldest driver in the field. Only Kimi Raikkonen, who's 39, is older now. And Raikkonen, if we get anywhere near a full season, will break the all-time appearances record this season. So we're now talking about Lewis Hamilton as a 14-season veteran. It's crazy because he debuted in 07, so 07, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This will be his 14th season. Crazy. Don't get me wrong. I know it's partly because the grid's getting younger in general. A lot of the early 30s guys have now moved along. Daniel Ricciardo is now 30. How did that come around? Seriously. Then again, you also got to realise, Ricciardo's been on the grid in some capacity since the early part of the decade, so it's not like Ricciardo's a newbie. He's, I think he's going to be in the 200 club next year. Let's have a look here. Quick Wikipedia search. Yeah, Ricciardo's 31 in July. and he's had 171 Grand Prix. So he'll be in the 200 club next year. I know Perez is going to be at 200 Grand Prix next year, which is crazy as well. So, yeah, time flies, man. Let's have a look here. In the chat real quick. Toto's history is weird, very much so. Kelly, that should be for the Tinder bio, Dre. Honestly, Kelly, I would, but I'm not looking. Like, honestly, after how badly the last one ended, not for a while, I don't think. There'd have to be someone pretty special. I mean, I do have my eye on someone, but probably not happening. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. It's not like Nico Rosberg, where he literally gave everything he had to beat Lewis and it drained him to the point of no return. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Rosberg. Rosberg tried everything to beat Lewis Hamilton. Like, he literally sacrificed a part of his career mentally, I think, because he was so determined to beat Lewis and win a world title that for him, he reminds me a lot of James Hunt, because for Hunt, I know Hunt carried on after he won the world title in '76, but Hunt was never the same driver again after that. The motivation had gone. And Rosberg knew after he won in Japan that year that if he won, he knew he controlled his own destiny to win the title. After he won in Japan, and he knew in the back of his head, he said that if I win the title, I'm going to retire. But I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody about it until after he obviously hung up the gloves. But yeah, that's an interesting in that, right? God, yeah, Hamilton's on 250 Grand Prix. Jesus, that I feel old even thinking about that. It says 27-year-old me. So assuming we get races this season, is Renault really at the breaking point for their title project? Probably. Renault have not been afraid to duck if things get hot. And this is what, year 4 of their comeback, I want to say. And they dumped Hulkenberg for Ocon just to keep the shareholders happy. And, like, Daniel Ricciardo, they dumped a lot of money into Daniel Ricciardo, and I don't know what for. I don't know what you would have gotten out of Ricciardo that you couldn't have gotten out of someone like Hulkenberg, who quite rightly asked for a pay rise after seeing how much Ricciardo was on. Like, seriously. Like, that was a waste of money. Like, in the midfield, the driver quality window is not as big as it is at the top. At the top, you need a great driver to get you those extra couple of attempts. In the midfield, I don't think Ricciardo was spectacular last season. You know. So, I don't know. I don't see where Renault goes from here, especially given after it was proven last year that their car may have been illegal. No, year 5. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Thanks, Vic. So this is half a decade they've been back, and they're nowhere even near the big 3. And if anything, they regressed a bit last season. And this was after dumping a ton of money into Daniel Ricciardo. It's not a good look. They could easily be in trouble if they don't get a good season this year. They need to be clear 4th, ideally. Like, you've got to beat McLaren. They're the works team, and I know this is the last season before they go to Mercedes power anyway. But if you can't even beat the satellite team, what chances have you got here, really? You know? So, they've got a lot to live up to, certainly. King, shoot your shot. No, honestly, mate, it's more complicated than that when it comes to just shooting my shot, because I'll tell you for free, Ryan, like, seriously, the girl in question, like, admitted, like, if me and my ex don't work out, to holler at her. We split. I started hollering about a month and a half later, and she clearly got cold feet about the idea. That's why I think it's kind of DOA on that one, but I appreciate the effort. Joe asks, "Hi Richard, nice to see you, mate. Sorry I didn't see you there in the chat for a second. I would love Rosberg to write an autobiography. That would be amazing. I really like that. Would be an awesome read, and I would snap that up in a heartbeat because that would be a very interesting read. Certainly, given he was in the heat of that Mercedes battle, and he'd probably get some salty indirect messages from Hamilton on his Instagram page. That's always fun. Joe saying, if Nico hadn't won the 2016 World Championship, do you think he would have been able to consistently challenge Lewis in 2017 and beyond? Probably, Joe, I would say. I honestly, like, people forget, Rosberg was competitive. Like, almost every season he competed against Lewis. He was close in 2013 when Hamilton first joined. The title finale went to the final round in 2014. I know Hamilton controlled his destiny in that race anyway, but Rosberg, I think, was only 14 points or so away, something like that, until his engine died in the final race. 2015 was the one year that Rosberg got blown out. And then 2016, obviously he won the title and rode off. So Rosberg was always close to Hamilton, and his consistency always gave him half a chance. So yeah, I don't see any reason why Rosberg wouldn't continue to be a threat. At least that's how I look at it anyway. Just have a look here. Bruh, she didn't think it was gonna happen. No, honestly, King, I've got a theory, and my theory is that one, she was planning to play in the field, and two, like, I honestly think that I think people like that will look at you being more attractive, like, when you're taken. It's like, because I think people sometimes want what they can't have, and like, that's always been my theory, personally. But hey, I am not an expert with girls. All of my relationships have been disasters. Like, well, borderline disasters. Quick side note: first girl I ever dated long term, turned out to have feelings for girls. Still one of my best friends now, funnily enough. Another one cheated on me twice in college. Another one went into a depressive episode and blocked me out of her life. And the latest one broke up with me half an hour before I was meant to be on a train back home to London. Good times. So I've been on the receiving end of a lot of shit, personally. So, you know, you get over it and whatnot, but, you know, for me, it's more of a comedy story at this point than there's anything else. Yeah, Renault's new sponsor, DP World, certainly helps. Financially, they're fine, but does Renault want to compete for midfield? It's a good question. Henry's saying, do you still have the Moeber autobiography? I do. It is up near the top of my book collection. I've never got around to reading it. Like, I had a little bit of a run at work. It's literally right up there. I do hold some of my books up there, as well as over here. It's on my list of shit to read. I've got 2 borrowed books off people, I'm ashamed to admit. It's on my pile. Hang on, I'll put it up. Hang on, give me a sec. Hang on. I made a bit of progress in it. Yeah, it's still here. As you can see, there's a William Hill slip as a bookmark. See that? That's a William Hill slip. So I did actually start reading it, because I went through a phase at work when I used to work in a really quiet shop. The shop would open at like 9 in the morning, and then the shop was dead till at least 11:30. So I could easily just spend like the first 2 hours of my shift just like eating a pot noodle and just reading. I burned through Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography, which I've got up there, his second book. I burned through that in about 4 days just by doing nothing but read in the mornings. I really should do that at work again now. Although, I should probably read a bit more often now because I've got nothing better to do at home. Funnily enough. So, yeah, this is Henry's book. I do still have it. I got through about 30 pages of it. It's mostly because I'm not a big fan of Mark Webber. But I know he says some interesting things in here, but he's a bit of a twat. If anyone knows my history of Mark on the internet, you probably know why I think that now. So happy Multi-21 Day! So yeah, that's my guilty pleasure number 1. I still have Henry's Mark Webber book here. And the other dirty little secret of mine is... Pardon my pants there in the background. This is Zoe's. She's in the chat right now. Hi, Zoe. Will Power's book, The Sheer Force of Willpower, by David Malsher, which, again, like, if you don't know enough about willpower, apparently this is very interesting. I've not even started this yet. I'm terrible. Mostly because I've been reading... have been reading other things. I'm just getting around to it. I'm going to get through my part. And as Zoe says in the chat, I have got plenty of time to read this stuff. I'm currently going through James O'Brien from LBC Radio's How to Be Right in a World Gone Wrong. It's a great insight into his breakfast radio show, if anyone's ever seen clips of it. In general, talking a lot about current news, Brexit, the LGBT plus community, and how callers react to his show. It's a very interesting book. If anyone's ever seen James O'Brien on LBC, this is a very, very good read. It's great insight. Very funny, very clever, but also quite alarming as to how fickle a lot of us are, and I think how brainwashed a lot of us are by media, politicians, etc., and how easy it can be to unravel some of their arguments. It's a great read. I'm about halfway through. I do highly recommend you check it out. I've got that going through, and I've also got down here on the floor. I picked this up the other day. Cricket 2.0. Inside the T20 Revolution by Tim Wigmore and Freddie Wild. Highly touted. So if anyone's cricket fans out there, and they want an insight into T20s and how the game has changed because of the game's most recent international format, the 20 over game, and the analytics side of the game and how cricket has changed to accommodate it, yeah, definitely give it a read. Apparently it's a thick boy though, so that could take some time, but yeah, there's a lot about the IPL, a lot about guys like Chris Gale, Lasith Malinga, Ravi Ashwin, Shane Watson, some of the best T20 players that's ever played the game. So I've got a pile in front of me to get through, but I had promised myself I would read more during this downtime. For those that have been asking me, I don't know anything more about the Paddy Power situation. I've been told we are going to be closed through the end of April. My own boss, my own district manager, called me up to basically say, "Oh, Trey, sorry, by the way, I don't know anything new, by the way." He wanted to ask questions, and I said, "Listen, mate, I already pretty much know everything. I know at least we're getting paid through this downtime. I don't have to worry about that, and we are no closer to finding out when we're going to open. And honestly, there's no point in being open right now because there's no sports. Like, our turnover at work was down like 60% the moment horse racing got called off. Or at least the British horse racing, because I know they're still racing in Ireland right now. So I said to people, what's the point in us being open? Because we're taking bets on greyhounds, the machines, and bingo. That's it. You know, so I have to wait and see how we go. So hey, I'm making the most of the downtime at least. So why has everybody gone oh no or oh god in the chat? Oh dear. So you know, that's me right now basically at the moment. Just checking the chat real quick. Connor Myers, did you ever read Casey Stoner's autobiography? No, I didn't, Connor. I know One of my good friends, Rebecca James, who one of my old cohorts on Bike Live, had it. I asked to borrow it, but I thought you probably wouldn't get it back until like 2024, given my track record of book borrowing. I feel guilty now because I saw Zoe just say, "Well, the first time I ever met you, I gave you that." I'm sorry, Zoe. Look, I am bad at timekeeping and things like that. Okay, it's a black guy stereotype, and I'm not proud of it. Kelly says, yes, us girls are a funny bunch. Yeah, so are guys. Guys are terrible. So, takes one to know one sometimes. Let's have a look here. Everyone I know has a ton of who's WhatsApping me? Oh, it's fucking. It's my. I almost mentioned my boss at Paddy Power earlier, and he's WhatsApping us right now. We have a group chat of all the managers in it. Oh, for God's sake. What a bastard. He put a meme in our chat. I'm going to see if the camera shows it. If it locks onto it. Just a reminder, the clocks go back on Sunday, which means we get an extra hour indoors. You know what that is? Dad humour. That's what that is. Very good, Raj. Well done. Good joke. Oh dear, oh dear. Evan says, everyone I know I've got a ton of stuff to do during quarantine and I'm stuck here having to do 7 assignments in a month. Ooh, that's nasty. My sister's kind of the same way right now. I was helping her out with her maths homework yesterday, so yeah, I know the feeling. Richard, realistically, how many races this season do you think we're going to have in 2020? Which are definitely getting cut and which are Liberty going to try and keep? Look, short answer is I don't know. We don't know how this virus is going to play out. We can only guesstimate here. And they're tentatively predicting that we're probably not going to race until July, by the looks of it. I mean, Baku was the latest race that was postponed. They're a street track. By my logic, that's a cancellation in all but name. Rescheduling a street track is very, very hard for obvious reasons. It's a public road. So, Chase Carey said 15 to 18 races with no summer break. And they're willing to go beyond into December. I mean, look, I think the first 8 rounds have now been either postponed or cancelled. 3 of them are probably not going to be run at all, and that is most likely going to be Australia has been cancelled. It will not be rebooted. Baku, I don't think will come back because, like I said, street track, and we know Monaco has been cancelled, so there will be no Monaco Grand Prix this year. So we're automatically probably down at least 3 races. So at best we're getting 19. We're probably getting less. Because asking these promoters to rearrange is going to be a big ask. A lot of these guys are waiting on money. I mean, the Circuit of the Americas isn't in a good situation right now. They're basically temporarily shut until the winter, hoping they'll get the money from probably hosting a late Formula One race and a MotoGP round, because that's now been rescheduled to the end of October. If I had to guess, I think we're looking at maybe a 14 race championship. But like the old days, I think they'll try and get 16 or 17 in. I don't know how they'll do it, personally, because look at it this way. The next race that's not been adjusted yet has been Canada. And I want to say Canada is the end of June. Hang on, I'm going to put it up on my screen here. F1 schedule 2020. Right. They're saying Canada's meant to be June 14th. And I still think June is optimistic. Because British Motorsport has now basically said we're not hosting anything until June 30th has been cancelled. So I'll be stunned if we get a Canadian Grand Prix. I really will. I'll be shocked if Canada races, because they've closed their borders and they're locked down at the moment, and who knows how long that's going to be for. France is June 28th. Maybe France, depending on how they get on and how they handle the disease. So we will have to wait and see. Maybe Austria July 5th. I think I don't know. Like, I think if you're Chase Carey, you want to keep the British Grand Prix where it is at all costs. That's July 19th. And that's basically 4 months away. Surely you'll want to keep, like, the British Grand Prix might be arguably your most important race. You'll get 140,000 on race day. Ticket prices are out the arse, you know, and it's super popular, and it's on free-to-air TV in the UK. It has to be legally free-to-air. Like, that's your biggest race of the year. So I think they will try to aim to start at Silverstone, personally. And that's July 19th. And that is assuming we're through the worst of this virus by then. Which I don't think anybody can guarantee right now. Because if everyone is saying we might be able to beat this thing in 12 weeks, 12 weeks from here would take us roughly to the end of June anyway. So goodness only knows what the situation is. We'll have to wait and see. So, yeah, look, I can't say... all of this I'm spitballing. I can't say any of this at confidence. And if they do rearrange the calendar, how are they going to rearrange it? Because you've still got a bunch of rounds that are already dead set in places that are unaffected at the moment. How are you going to fit all those rounds in between? Or are you going to start jumbling rounds up altogether? Who knows? So, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But if I had to guess, well, the only things we do know is that it's probably going to be 19 races at best. And I think it will end up being a fair amount less than that. Because I don't see how they cram everything in. Like, it's going to be real hard. Real hard. Unless everybody says they do what they do with the WEC and have a super season where you go deep into 2021, basically have an off season and maybe a shortened 2021 season to bring us into 2022. There's options on the table. I spoke to Lewis about this and how MotoGP are handling this the other day, and they're kind of in the same boat. Nothing's off the table, they've said, and they're thinking about the possibility maybe of double races per weekend. You know, because they're in this. I think they're in the same situation where I think they need 12 races to formally declare a championship. They're still are meant to be racing in Jerez, and I think at the end of April, and I think that's impossible. Like, how on earth are you going to race in a country that's got an explosion of cases? So they're kind of in the same boat here, and what they could do to rearrange, and they already have rearranged the calendar like twice over already. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, they're meant to be racing in Jerez on May the 3rd. That's 6 weeks from now. Good luck with that, basically. They got France after that, May 17th. Then they have Mugello, May 31st. You're not getting a race in Italy. No chance. Not in May. Italy's been hit harder than this than any other country on the planet. So, you know. Then they got Catalonia, June 7th. Maybe Germany, June 21st. Like, they might have to start in Finland. July 12th. Round 8. I'm stunned there's not been more movement out of MotoGP yet, and I think there will be very soon. They're all talking about, you know, trying to cram as much in as they can, but everybody is spitballing this, and that's the whole point, and we'll have to wait and see how well it goes and what they could potentially rearrange to make it happen. But that, my guesswork is we're not going to be racing till July. Yeah, it's going to be relentless. I don't envy, like Lewis has mentioned in the chat himself. One thing's for sure, in F1 and MotoGP, once we do start racing, the season will be frenetic, full of back-to-backs and non-stop. They've already started hinting that Formula 1 could do triple and quadruple headers to get the races in, and I do not envy any. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, the internet had a bit of a hiccup there. It does that every once in a while, unfortunately. Sky for you. But, yeah, what I was going to say is that, yeah, as it stands, MotoGP set to have 8 races in the last 10 weeks of the season, which is just... ugh, God. And I think there's two back-to-back double headers in there, and then the flyaway is the traditional triple header in October anyway. So, I do not envy anyone that has to work the second half of that season. That would be shit, to say the least. And from a humanitarian standpoint, I would not envy anyone that's got to, go through that. Basically, man, oh man, that would be ugly. And Valencia. Racing at Valencia at the end of November. No. I know they want to be the season finale real bad, but God, I would not want to be racing in an ice-cold Valencia in the end of November. Maybe even early December. Fuck that. That round needs to be moved, man. Right. So, hope everything's alright connection-wise. The app's telling me it is, so I'll go with that. I'm just going to check my phone real quick. Who's sending videos now? Yeah, my WhatsApp chat is weird for the company. Deal. Raw. Sorry, I just saw a video of an Italian couple walking their dog by dangling it from a leash out of the window because they can't leave the house. Paddy Power sends you over some weird shit, to say the least. But, yeah, if you guys are all alright, let me know how you're doing. If you just want to ask me some stuff, feel free. Oh dear. Seen some. Hang on. There we go. So yeah, my chat wasn't working for a second there. My bad. 2 triple headers as it stands. Japan, Australia, Malaysia, and Argentina, America, Valencia. Yeah, fuck that. is what I say in response to that. No, man. Argentina, America, Valencia is going to be brutal. Triple header, break, triple header. Oh, Lord. No, no, no. Oh, God, that is ugly. Yeah, no chance the Premier League goes again on April 30th. No chance. 0 is what I would say the probability of that is. Yeah, so everyone pray for Lewis, everybody. Given he's Dorna's social media man, so send Lewis your prayers. He's living the dream. He'll be fine. Avoid the season. Yeah, I'll talk about esports in a minute, Evan. Yeah, but Yeah, support series are tied to whatever their parents do as well. Yeah, W Series, DTM, F2, F3, F4, BTCC, etc. And as you probably saw the news today as well, that basically, that essentially all British motorsport is off the table till June 30th. So the BTCC is in big trouble. They're already going to lose a ton of time. Or potentially a ton of races, depending on how long their season can go. Because in motorsport's a lot like cricket. You can't really race in the winter for obvious reasons, So we have to wait and see how it goes. It's the same with cricket. They're already the county championship's been delayed until May 28th at least, and apparently ECB are coming out and saying that. If there is going to be cricket, they're going to focus on the Blast and the 100, the two short ball formats. So we might not get any red ball cricket in the UK this year, so we'll have to wait and see. They're saying they might play into October, but they can't leave it too late because you can't play cricket in the winter. Too much rain and snow, especially in this country. Thoughts on Lando carrying F1 right now? Look, man. Lando is the Gen Z F1 star that this sport's been crying out for. The sport needs dudes like Lando Norris. I love the fact that, the next wave of George Russell, Alex Albon, and Lando Norris are all extremely likeable, funny dudes. The Lando Carlos bromance is genuinely a breath of fresh air in Formula One, and I wish there was more of it. I don't like the stale narrative that it's F1. Everyone's got to hate each other. Everyone's got to be at each other's necks. And look, real life doesn't work that way. And not everything in sport has to be a narrative. They can be two great teammates who just get along and are just good people. And you're absolutely right, Evan. Lando brings out the personality in other people. He gets the best out of Carlos, he gets the best out of George and Alex, and a lot of the guys he associates with. I got a lot of time for Lando. He's a great kid, and the sport needs dudes like that. They can't all be stoic PR managers left, right, and centre. Fuck that. Lando Norris is awesome, and he was the best part of pretty much all the esports we got this past weekend. Was Lando calling everybody on the phone. It wasn't a great endorsement for F1 2019 or Codemasters, because it just goes to show you their game is not esports ready, and it's the race that was the virtual GP was meant to be a 50% race got knocked down to 25, purely because they were trying to get Lando Norris and Jimmy Broadbent back in the room, and they failed. They got Lando back after a little while, but we had to, and again, trust Lando to turn it into a joke because of Lando bot. So, they made the best out of what was a bit of a shit situation, and good for Lando, like I said. And as you mentioned, if there's one sport right now that is thriving in the midst of everything else being abandoned, it's esports. And I had a feeling this was going to happen, personally, and it is. Everybody is now cashing in on video games because there's nothing else going on. Veloce jumped on the wagon because that's what they do. They're esports guys. They know everybody. They'll get guys in there. They know some of the F1 drivers have rigs and setups. Verstappen's in there right now. Nicholas Latifi just got a rig. And they've gotten guys like bloody Ian Poulter to go in there and have a go in a race car. And Luca Savadori, who used to race in World Superbikes. I just find that wild that all of a sudden he's on, he's just out here. He's just out here racing sims and all that. And, Johnny Herbert pulling a Rangoon and just cutting turn one at Bahrain and taking the lead. Maybe not the best exhibition for what the virtual GP is. I mean, I don't know if that's what they were trying to be, if they're trying to be the not-so-serious one and just have an exhibition full of names you recognise off the street. Like, seriously, how much did F1 pay Liam Payne to be in that race? And we didn't hear from him at all after the race actually started. But they got Liam goddamn Payne from One Direction, Thibaut Courtois, the Real Madrid goalkeeper, Ian Poulter, PGA Tour golfer, and a bunch of YouTubers as well, like the German dudes who've got 2 million plus subs in Germany, Jimmy Broadbent, Super GT, guys that have got 200,000 plus subs. I think Broadbent just crossed 400,000. So it's great for profiles, and everyone's in a giant circle jerking handshake. Personally, I think the races set up, as much as it pains me to admit it, I think the races set up was probably the best. I think their presentation is the best of all the others on display. And I'm being careful how I word this because I am friends with a lot of people at Veloce, but this is me as a critical viewer being critical. I think the racist setup was best. I'm not entirely surprised. I believe they are funded partly by an esports team. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So I'm not entirely surprised at that. But it's funny because the least entertaining part of watching these races is the esports races themselves. Because they're going to win anyway. It's everybody else that you're watching for. You care most about some of the other real life drivers or some of the internet celebrities that are racing these cars. Instead, it's a lot more relatable. Ryan King, shout out to Max Verstappen, doing the sim races and getting no clout while also getting taken out by Lando Norris. Yeah, very true. Max is just out here doing shit. Max don't care. He just drives and shit. IPL Cricket 19 edition. I might actually do that on Twitter. I might just sim all of the 2020 IPL. The squads are still official. They've had the auction. I'm sure someone on Cricket 19's forums will make the IPL teams. I'm a big RCB fan, and they just brought in Aaron Finch. I'm actually kind of pissed that they're not going to be playing now, most likely. It's awful. Johnny Herbert is boss. Yes, he is. I like Johnny. Cheeky chappy and all that. Dear. Our thoughts on Nico Hulkenberg calling sim racers nerds. It's Nico Hulkenberg. He loves grid girls. I'm not expecting him to be the moral beacon of anything, quite frankly. So, yeah, can't say I'm surprised at that one. Why stop at doing the Codemasters games? Get the grid to play something like Counter-Strike Go. I'd watch that. My God, Counter-Strike. Oh, I feel old. Honestly, I remember watching the Championship Gaming series on Sky One when I was 14 or 15, and that was the first real proper serious esports franchise. Draft the team, play competitive games. Back when they were playing FIFA, PGR/Forza 2, Dead or Alive 4, and then the main event was watching the Counter-Strike teams play. It was Counter-Strike Source, I think it was back then. And they had some semi-famous gamers like Swoozy, who you now probably might have heard of on YouTube now as a brilliant storyteller and animator. He used to be a competitive Dead or Alive player. And yeah, imagine of all the fighting games to be competitive in, you chose DOA 4, but yeah, Swoozy used to be on there. He's now a brilliant, massive, multi-million subscribed YouTuber that's a brilliant animator. Yeah, they showed Source in third person. I find that amazing. It was really hard and silly to watch sometimes, but they made it work. It was really weird. But that was on Sky One, and they used to air it 11 o'clock at night. And Red Eye, who was one of the presenters of that format, was racing in the virtual GP earlier. They had Red Eye have a go, which I thought was crazy. And they also, the host of the broadcast in Season 2 was Andrew Siciliano. He now hosts NFL Red Zone on DirecTV in the United States. He's sold up. Andrew Siciliano is basically the other Scott Hansen. If you ever watch NFL Red Zone or watch American football and you watch Red Zone and you watch Hansen direct everything, Siciliano does the exact same thing on DirecTV. So those guys, a lot of those guys sold up in the end, and that was back in 2007, I think it was. It was crazy. Have I seen Drive to Survive? I've never actually watched it. Again, it doesn't appeal to me as much as maybe to casual fans do, because I'm not a big, massive behind the scenes guy, personally. But I promised I would go out of my way to watch it because people wanted my takes on things. That I know there's a lot of tidbits in there, like Gunther Steiner losing his rag and being a toxic team boss, or, Mercedes in Germany last season when it all went to shit for them, basically. So I know it's probably worth a watch anyway for some of the behind the scenes stuff, but I've never actually watched Drive to Survive. It's funny I mentioned that, though, because my boss at work, Raj, my district manager, actually came up to me in a shop visit and said, "Dre, I've been watching Drive to Survive and I thought of you." And I'm like, that's nice. People have actually gone out of their way to DM me asking questions about the show for more context because of Drive to Survive. So, at the smallest level, I'm really genuinely delighted that people have gone out of their way to watch the show and then thought, Dre knows about this stuff, let's ask him because they're curious about it. Because I know somebody asked me, like, on Instagram, they sent to my DMs and they said, "Dre, like, how good is Daniel Ricciardo actually? Could he beat Lewis Hamilton?" And I said to him, well, probably not, but Ricciardo was very, very good a couple of times in 2014 and 2016, and I gave him some context behind his time at Red Bull, for example, to say, well, yeah, he was probably pound for pound one of the best drivers in the world, but, wasn't able to get a good enough car. So, it's great that people give enough of a shit to, look deeper beyond just the face value of a documentary. One thing I am hyped for, though, Sunderland Till I Die Season 2 comes out next week. April 1st. Can't wait for that. If anyone hasn't seen Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix, go out of your way to watch it. That is a brilliant goddamn series. It is fucking awesome. If you know the story of Sunderland's 2017-18 season, how they'd just been relegated from the Premier League, it is a behind-the-scenes, no-holds-barred, basically, story of that season. The first season after they're relegated, where they're thinking, shit, we're going to bounce straight back up into the Premier League. And it turns out they get into a relegation fight, basically, because their entire season falls apart, like, really, really quickly. They just had to sell Jordan Pickford to Everton. Lewis Grabber, one of their best strikers, didn't really want to be there. Simon Grayson, their manager, ends up getting sacked halfway through the season. There's a lot of, like, moments in there that you just go, what the fuck? Throughout the entire series. I highly recommend Sunderland Till I Die. I would say that on Netflix. If there's one sports show you want to watch on there, if you've got the UK version, if you haven't seen it, go watch it now and then watch season 2 when it comes out next week. April 1st, I believe, is when it comes out. Checking the chat. Vikesh, I always forgot Rosanna Tennant used to be on YouTube with Pole. Yeah! Wow, that's a throwback. Pole Position P1. Yeah, I don't know what the story ever was behind that channel. It was like a bit of Office Space and a couple of guys with some contacts, and they just did a bunch of motorsport content, like a lot of fly on the wall, a lot of like little pokey journalism stuff. It was pretty cool, actually. I was on their channel, on their Google Hangouts 2 or 3 times, and I was like a talking head because of my F1 YouTube experience, and it was awesome. Like, Rosanna's a great gal, and I'm really, really glad she's now a part of the official F1 media setup because she's an excellent journalist. She was an excellent broadcaster. She's great, and she was very helpful in helping me out get some extra gigs when I was just a pokey F1 YouTuber, basically. I wouldn't have ever interviewed Felipe Massa if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't have interviewed Elfyn Evans if it wasn't for him. Well, it wasn't for her, sorry. And I actually bumped into her. Fun fact, I bumped into her at the Zoom charity auction. One of my favourite moments as like a F1 journo, basically. And I don't even really like calling myself that. But I was at the Zoom charity auction in London. We're working with guys at Zone 1 Radio, and she was there as well. And she said hi. Fun fact, she really is that tall. Like, she's genuinely 5'11", if not 6 foot. She is very, very tall. I'm about 6'2", and she's right up to about here. If you've ever seen her interview people, and some of the drivers are really short, and she's towering over them, she's a lot like Hazel. Because Hazel, if anyone knows Hazel Safford on Twitter, she's genuinely about 5'10" as well. So it's like they tower over people. It's hilarious. But yeah, great gal. I'm delighted that she's climbed the ladder in that sense and got a really good gig for herself. A lot of the F1 media guys, Alex Jakes and Rosanna Tennant are awesome, and they're doing great work, and I salute them. It's great to see some fresher, younger faces on the network in general. Dan Ticktum killed that channel. What happened, King? Context, please. You spot me today. I was in a Google Hangout with Felipe Massa. Yeah, they got Massa on there. I think it was back in 2015 or something like that, and they picked out some of their mates. They had a nice wide range of journalists on there. They had Massa in the Williams factory for about half an hour, and one at a time they were asking everybody questions, and I got to ask Felipe Massa a question in there. It was awesome. Loved it. It was you see that he even said hello, Andre, and I'm like, I was like 17 back then, so I was just like, I was all giddy. It was great. First time I've genuinely been a bit starstruck as to interview someone in Formula One. This is coming from a guy that's interviewed Bernie, and so Bernie was like, but Felipe Massa, I was like, before I found out he was a raging fascist. So fun times. Kelly asking favourite Pokemon in Sword and Shield. Duraludon is my favourite. Big fan of Duraludon. I've got one that's like 5 EV trained in the back, and I love Duraludon. I love the design. I love the fact it's Steel Dragon. The design is fantastic. I love the fact it's a hard-hitting special attacker. Big fan of Duraludon. Toxtricity is a close second, I would say, as well. I love the design of Toxtricity as a punk rocking rock star. The Gigantamax version basically has an attack with an electric guitar, basically, which I thought was just fucking fantastic. It swings its electric guitar to attack people. I love it. It's brilliant. So if I had to say favourite Pokemon, Duraludon, and probably Toxtricity, a very close second. Carlton, he's a big supporter of Bolsonaro. Kinda says it all, really. Have I got Disney Plus? My brother does. My brother has one. My brother's got it. I was watching episodes of The Simpsons with it earlier, so close enough. Pole Position was going to do a docu-vlog series following Dan Ticktum through the rest of that season. The first weekend they covered, he got... Oh, that weekend! Oh my god, I didn't know that! Holy shit! Oh my god. That is crazy. I did not know that they were going to be following Ticktum around that year. So they basically went from following one of the hottest prospects in British racing to having virtually no content in the space of one weekend. That is wild. Holy shit. That is a wrecker. Yeah, that would kill a channel, wouldn't it? Jesus. You have Shield sitting in your Switch case and I haven't touched it. Touch it, Vic. Honestly, Sword and Shield is very fun. I would happily tell you that for free. And if you want to get into the game competitively, it is easier than ever in the post-game to be able to generate Pokemon that are perfectly bred, that have perfect IVs, and EV training is easier. A lot of the post-game is streamlined. I've got like 25 competitive Pokemon on my dash just sitting there doing nothing right now. I'd even show you a later... Actually, I'll point out on the camera, actually, because I've got my Switch in front of me. Hang on. Again, apologies for showing my pants. No one wants to see that. Give me a minute. To be fair, I need to buy more games for my Switch anyway, but like a £55 a pop is an expensive habit, you know? But I'll tell you for free. Full Moon Dre. Well, ladies, I am single. Just saying. Let the record show I keep a lot of junk in my trunk. But, give me a minute. Yeah. Everything in that box is pretty much full competitive ready, including the Gengar on the top left corner there. That's just my go-to Pokemon for raids and whatnot. But yeah, like you can see Obstagoon, Tyranitar, Charizard, Duraludon, what do we call it? Aegislash, you know, Dragapult, Haxorus, etc. And I've now got Venusaur and Venusaur and Blastoise as well, that are both in there. The camera's not quite focused in there. There you go. And they're all maxed IVs. They're all fully competitively trained, ready to go. Basically, I need to battle more often, but I've just not found the time until now. It's just a hobby, really. And I'm kind of waiting for the big DLC, the Isle of Armor, to come out in... I think it's coming out in June, I want to say. So, that'll be fun. The Isle of Armor, if you've already bought the expansion pass, it's coming out, I think, in June. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. They're going to add another 200 or so Pokemon into the game, apparently, so that'll be fun. Yeah, get Zelda Breath of the Wild. I really should get Breath of the Wild, shouldn't I? But again, like, Switch games are too expensive, man. Like I said, they're £50 a pop. Switch games don't depreciate very often. It's ridiculous. You got to be very careful about that one. I understand the DLC will somehow find a way for Cynthia to kick my ass again, but now it's in 3D. You don't fuck with Cynthia. Cynthia was the GOAT. Like, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Cynthia was arguably the best champion ever in Pokemon. Dear Lord. Cynthia's team was a bitch. What was it? Spiritomb, Milotic, Lucario, Roserade, Togekiss, and then Garchomp. What a fucking team that is. Gen 4 had some busted pokes. Would you ever pay for OnlyFans? Oh, no. I would not pay for OnlyFans, but Danny Daniels has given away her account for free for 14 days. Just saying. If you know, you know. If you feel like being a dick in Sword and Shield Online, rock up to a fight with Stool, Toxapex, and Ferrothorn. Literally nothing happens while you wait for their health to go away. That's very true. Good God. Like, okay, anyone that... It's like the days when I used to battle competitively in Generation 4. Because I had Pokégen and I was able to use an action replay and just generate the Pokémons I needed. Like, everyone and their mother in Gen 4 had teams of Skarmory, Blissey, and Cresselia. And every battle was a stall fest. Some battles would take literally half an hour. Like, it was ridiculous. I didn't believe in it. I used to like... it was like either you played at least one of Skarmory, Blissey, or Cresselia, or you lost. It was as simple as that. And I insisted I'm not going to play that way, because I like playing aggressively. I like picking sweepers and looking for openings to try and sweep. Like, I don't like stalling. I don't like defensive play. I think Pokemon is an attacking game, and I don't like stalling teams. I like being aggressive. So, like, oh. And that's the thing, Toxapex and Ferrothorn are such great walls that, you know, but you have to pick them, because they're some of the best Pokemon in the game. Toxapex is one of the best stallers in the game. And that's what's infuriating. You have to have them, otherwise you're going to lose every game you're in. So, it's terrible. But, yeah, it's got to be done, really. Yeah, I know everyone and their mother is playing Animal Crossing right now, and, like, again, Animal Crossing is not the sort of game that I would normally buy and play, but everyone and their mother is telling me it's great, so I probably should get it at some point, but I just can't be bothered. Especially dropping like 50 plus quid on it. It's mental to me, but oh, no chance. But yeah, you know, you make the most of it. Bitch, I'm playing Dragon Quest XI. Oh my god, Zoe, you're such a nerd. Give me a minute. Just checking the old phone again. Yeah, like, I'll put a pizza on my Instagram. Sorry guys, internet died again. I didn't put 20p in the meter. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Let's have a quick here. Fire Emblem's Three Houses. Yeah, not a big Fire Emblem fan either, funnily enough. But, again, I know a lot of people swear by that series. No, Alonso is not better than Sebastian Vettel. Sai Regara. And that's the thing. I know every time I make a video that mentions all-timers in some capacity, you have to put a comment in there regarding what your all-time list is and where you guys rank on your all-time list. My man, I have seen it like a dozen times. Cut it out. Okay? We and you are not going to agree on this, and that's fine. Just, you don't need to shove it down my throat every 2 seconds. And yes, because the host is a Vettel fan, but I got no problem debating this, right? But I find talking about the same subjects over and over again boring, and that is one that comes up with you. That's the one that you try and facilitate constantly, and I'm not a fan of it. Like, I don't think there's much of a case for Alonso being better than Sebastian unless you absolutely are adamant that that Ferrari he was driving was a piece of shit. Which it wasn't. So, at least that's how I see it anyway. One, two, switch. Come on, man. Can't be this. Just checking Twitter real quick, by the way. Ooh, new episode at the right time. That'll be fun. Let's have a look here. I don't really have a big unpopular driver opinion, I don't think. Like, I'm trying to think, is there anything out there that I would consider radical? I don't think there is. Like, let me think. There's not really a big obvious one that screams out to me. Like I said, I've had people who used to gun me down for saying that I didn't think Alonso was top 10 all time. So apparently that is unpopular because every time I say it, people think I'm fucking crazy. And I think his top 10 spot was taken by Hamilton about 3 years ago. But that's about as far as it goes. Like, we did our top 10 rebooted list for episode 200 of the podcast, and I don't think there was anything too ridiculous on it. Especially, like, I think RJ had a more radical list than I did, personally. Me and King's list were very similar, if I remember correctly. So I don't, like, again, given how everybody else sees it, I don't know what would be considered unpopular, personally. And popularity is through the perception of the eyes of the beholder. So it's perception, and that's 9/10 of the law with a lot of F1 fans anyway. So we'll have to see. What should the next F1 Rewind race be? Says Kelly. I say you do Hungary 2015. Hungary 2015 was a great race. It was a genuinely crazy shitfest race that didn't have a ton of rain. It was the first race, I believe, after Jules Bianchi passed away. You had a shock winner, given the way the season had played out to that point, and it had a lot of crazy shit. So I would again. I don't know if that would be considered too sensitive because again, there's tributes to Jules Bianchi in the first 20 minutes before the race goes. But I think Hungary 2015 would be a great candidate for them. I really would. If they want to have a race that's not too crazy, but also a good introduction for fans, especially in the context that Mercs were a lot more fuming that day than they normally have been in the hybrid era. And I'm not just saying that because Sebastian Vettel won the race either. I'm just saying that because it's genuinely one of the best races of the hybrid era so far. If they wanted to do that, they could do that. If they wanted to do another one that was again fun, do Bahrain 2014. There's another really, really, really good race as well in the hybrid era. If they wanted to keep it semi-relevant to what the cars are now, have that race where the midfield goes crazy and then basically Hamilton and Rosberg beat the shit out of each other. There's another fun one for you. That would probably be the one for me, if not Nico Hulkenberg ain't that great. Again, saying Nico Hulkenberg ain't great is not an unpopular opinion. There's a lot of people who tweet me every time I say something nice about Hulkenberg telling me how shit he is. Like, there are two sides to Hulkenberg. People that think he's great and should have been in an elite seat, and there's other people that think he's terrible and should never have been in the sport for the last 2 or 3 years. The reality, I think, is somewhere in the middle. I think Hulkenberg is a solid driver. I don't think he's an exceptional one. But I think he's a safe pair of hands. And I think a lot of Formula One teams and fans don't like that. I think a lot of people want every single driver to be spectacular, to basically turn your pants into a tripod and do spectacular shit, when sometimes just a safe pair of hands is all you need. Like, Hulkenberg's best was probably the 1 year he had Jolyon Palmer as a teammate, and probably 2013 when he was driving for Sauber. People don't talk that, like, if you want an underrated driver in an underrated season, Nico Hulkenberg's 2013 when he drove for Sauber is a seriously good season from Hulkenberg, where he drove out of his skin for the second half of the season while not being paid, because Sauber was almost broke back then and they couldn't afford to pay him. And that, if you want the best of Nico Hulkenberg, the second half of that season where he's racing the big boys in Korea, and I think he was 5th in Monza that season, he was brilliant that year. But he's also had seasons where he's been beaten comprehensively by, like, Checo in 2017, for example. So, ifs and buts with Hulkenberg. He's probably middle of the road. I'd say I lean more towards the good side of Hulk than... I think the good with Hulk outweighs the bad, personally. But again, a lot of people just think he's fucking terrible, and I don't understand that logic either. He's probably somewhere in the middle, personally. Probably more towards the good side. I don't think he should have lost his seat for Esteban Ocon this year. I think Hulkenberg was a good, solid pair of hands. And did anybody think he was going to beat Daniel Ricciardo anyway? Like, Ricciardo has had, like, 2 Driver of the Year candidate level seasons. Like, Ricciardo's in a different league compared to Hulkenberg on paper, but you get what I mean. But, you know, it is what it is. Still has to go sleep knowing that Lance Stroll has a podium and he doesn't. Yeah, Sergio Perez has 8 podiums. And Hulkenberg doesn't have 1. Lance Stroll has a podium and he doesn't. I find that amazing. Sometimes it is better to be lucky rather than good. Like, because Checo is the definition of guy who's in the right place at the right time. It is crazy. And yeah, you mentioned with Hulkenberg, like, one of the most exceptional junior records ever. He was an A1 GP champion, he was a Formula 3000 champion, and I believe he won GP2 as a rookie. Arguably the most glittering junior resume of any driver in the last 15 years. Like, I think with Hulkenberg it was more opportunities he didn't get rather than him being bad. I think you could have made a case for a big team to sign Hulkenberg in 2014, maybe even 2016 to replace him after Kimi Räikkönen, because it took Räikkönen a good while to get good in the Ferrari hybrid system. If you dropped Räikkönen after 2015 for someone like Nico Hulkenberg, I would have completely understood. Like, and of course, he won Le Mans. So, I know he was somewhat carried to it, given the other teammates in his car was better, but Hulkenberg was damn good. People don't give him enough credit, personally. But hey, what do I know? Oh, Cam's here. Hello, Cam. Nice to see you. He made Carlos look mediocre in 2018 as well, to the point that Sainz said Renault were out of their minds to drop him. Yeah, completely agree. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Cam. Hulkenberg bet on the wrong factory. It's as simple as that. He saddled up with the Renault boys when he was probably better off waiting for a Mercedes-powered team. I remember when Rosberg retired, they were interested in Hulkenberg. But Hulkenberg had already signed a factory deal with Renault at that point. They were going to take Nico Hulkenberg over Valtteri Bottas. Which I thought, you know, it's not ridiculous for that suggestion, given Hulkenberg had a lot more experience. If he wanted a safe pair of hands, why not take Hulkenberg? Again, you're absolutely right, Cam. He would. There's no way he would have known how bad it was going to be at Renault. But at the time, I could see why he'd join Renault as an exciting young team coming up the field. I get it. I swear there was a time when Rogro was in line for a Ferrari drive. Yeah, he was. Like, right at the start. Like, around, I think, right around either 2014 and again about 2015-16, there was rumblings about Grosjean and Ferrari. Because, again, solid pair of hands in a good car. Romain Grosjean is very, very good. We all remember the second half of 2013 where he turned around and was bloody brilliant. Like, Grosjean was... When Raikkonen got hurt with his back and didn't really give it 110%, like, Grosjean stepped up in his absence and was bloody fantastic. So, yeah, man, but like Grosjean was another one that, again, you know, right team, wrong time, most likely, you know? And you're right, Cam. The Renault 5-year plan was working until last year. Last year was when the wheels somewhat fell off. And that's probably what's done Hulkenberg in. Don't worry, that's just a tickle. And unfortunately, the thing with Grosjean is that I don't like. Again, Grosjean is now like the new Hulkenberg in the sense of people either think Grosjean is the greatest thing to happen to Formula One since sliced bread, and they love him because he's a very likable, charming person on social media. You know, he cooks, he's funny, he's witty, you know, gorgeous wife, you know, etc., you know, wholesome and all that. While the other half of him can't wait for him to piss off because they don't think he's a good enough driver. Like, there's no middle ground on Romain Grosjean anymore, and it's weird because Magnussen's been better at Haas for the last 2 years now, and Grosjean's probably on his last life at Haas now because Magnussen has been better, but oh boy. Oh, don't even get me started on Stoffel either. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're probably right, Cam. Grosjean's best days probably are behind him at this point. I would love Stoffel back on the grid, but he'll probably be fine in Formula E anyway because the team he's in is pretty solid and if anything, he's solid in general. So, you know, who knows if a team turns it around, you know. That could work out too, personally. But, nah, man, like, I'd love to see Stoffel back. He should not have lost his seat. Everybody and their mother knew Stoffel was in an unwinnable situation at McLaren. It was Fernando's team, and he had a cracked chassis. Stoffel had no chance of being successful in that previous McLaren stable. And it's the one casualty that people don't talk about McLaren now because they've got such a fast, likeable team. Like, that's what breaks my heart about the situation. Because don't get me wrong, McLaren is awesome, and like Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz are two excellent drivers. Carlos Sainz is fucking brilliant as a driver, and he's only going to get better as time goes on. But to get to that point, they had to chop Stoffel Van Dorn, and that is a shitter because Stoffel deserved better. And it's shit that he had to be sacrificed to make that happen, because by all means, like, don't get me wrong, the Lando experiment has absolutely worked out, but Stoffel had every reason to be given at least another season. Yeah, you're right, Cam. Alonso being the best bad car driver maybe ever doesn't help. Yeah, if the car is genuinely bad, Alonso will get the maximum out of it. But I don't think the trade-off is worth it half the time, you know? And by then, the days of Alonso being a top-tier, demanding top-seats driver was pretty much over. And you're right, Checo and Magnussen were sacrificed as well to get to that point. I've said it before, it's very easy to say shit about Red Bull because they're the biggest they're the biggest culprits in the young driver getting chewed up and span out sort of approach. McLaren is not far behind on that list, and Mercedes as well. Given Stoffel Van Dorn was in purgatory and making demands he couldn't keep, Esteban Ocon's treatment and whatnot in there. Pascal Wehrlein as well. Like, Mercedes is also pretty guilty of this one. It's just the way the sport is these days, where these drivers are treated more as assets more than anything else, and that's the frustrating part, because we're emotionally invested as fans towards these dudes. But it is what it is. One minute. Yeah, the Hamilton argument. Yeah, he was. Technically speaking, I guess they tied on points. Although Hamilton did beat him on countback. If it was for the title, it would have mattered a hell of a lot more. They wouldn't be saying tie if Hamilton won the world title that year. But that rookie at the time, we didn't know it at the time, but that rookie is the best driver of the last 20 years. So, yeah, Hamilton won on countback. So, technically speaking, Hamilton beat him. If it wasn't for the 1 point extra that Raikkonen got in Brazil, Hamilton would have been world champion, which would have been amazing. Yeah, as Cam points out, spot on. Hamilton had one more second place finish than Alonso that season, and that's how he won the tie. It was a level 2 count back. The third tiebreaker. So, it's really not the biggest shot in the world against Fernando, given that, Hamilton was a monster from day one. Hamilton was basically a freak from age 20 when it comes to Formula 1. And hell, GP2 even, when he was in that series. It's really not that big a shot against Alonso that he lost by essentially half a point to Lewis Hamilton. A guy that would literally win the world title less than a year later. So, and my argument's all the same. If you claim that, Hamilton should have won the world title in 07, Massa should have won in 08, really, but, I think Massa was a bit better, but, it is what it is. Oh, what am I watching, Henry? I've just got a bit of, I've got some cricket highlights on the TV in the background, honestly. Just as background material for me, really. England's YouTube channels for cricket is very good for that. A lot of great highlights when I'm bored. I think in 07, Lewis. Yeah, well, the obvious one is China, isn't it? China. I think he was running second, but then of course he parks it. But just a sec. One sec. Yep, cool. Done that. Sorry. Off topic, but anyone watch the Sonic Riders fan dub the other day? No, I didn't. Evan. So the thing is about 2007, people tend to forget how Kimi lost a win and a potential P3 early on due to car issues. Yeah, everything balanced out across the year. Ferrari's car issues with McLaren shit in the bed yeah. McLaren completely went to shit at the end when it mattered most. And then Kimi went on a tear to close out the season, if I remember correctly. Hang on. To Wikipedia. Just to jolt the old memory. Yeah, Raikkonen did not finish off the podium basically the entire second half of the season. Raikkonen's last 7 rounds was second, third, and then he won 3 of the last 4. 1 in Belgium, third at Japan, and then 1 in China and Brazil. Won 3 of the last 4 to steal the title by a point. Crazy stuff. Ah, yeah, the turkey and the front puncher. Yeah. I didn't realise it was chucking it through turn 8 all the time, though. That is funny. Yeah, sorry, again, I've got cricket on in the background. I've got when, I think when England put up, I want to say it was 400, and yeah, they put up 444 against Pakistan in a 50 over game. That was pretty crazy. Josh Butler, 76 or 41 balls in a 50 over game. Bonkers stuff. Looking forward to the World Cup later this year, that should be fun. Yeah, 2007 was the first race I remember watching live. 2007 Japanese Grand Prix. Was that the one that was super rain affected? That Hamilton dominated? Hi, Caddy. Good to see you back. He didn't dominate it. He won by 8 seconds, but he was Heikki Kovalainen was second that day. Yeah, 2009 was weird. Yeah, like Braun won 6 of the first 7. Jenson Button particularly won 6 of the first 7 races, and then basically they dropped off like a stone in the second half of the year. Rubens Barrichello won 2 more times, and then Button didn't. Button won 6 of the first 7, then didn't win again for the rest of the year, and still won the title by like 13 points or something. I remember that, like. Sebastian Vettel was reeling him in at the end, but ran out of rounds. 2009 was glorious, Trey. Don't let anyone say any difference. Yeah, Lewis, I wonder why. Is it because you're a Jenson Button fan by any chance? Oh, God. Oh, yeah, when Vettel crashed into the back of Webber as well. That was 2007, wasn't it? And I remember, because it was like 6 in the morning on British television and Mark Webber swore on live TV. And Louise Goodman had to apologise because I believe it was Vettel had driven into the back of him and Webber had to retire, and I think Webber went in the pit lane as Louise Goodman was walking past. And I remember him saying, these young drivers, they fuck it up for everyone. Which I thought was quite funny. So, yeah, I thought that was quite fun. Yeah, shall we say Mark Webber was pissed that day, and for good reason. Back in just a sec. Just before I get the hand sanitizer ready, boys. Oh yeah, it was even worse because they crashed. They crashed during a safety car. Yes, I remember this now. It's all coming back to me. It was a safety car. They were behind a safety car, and then Vettel just drives into the rear of him, and then again, Webber absolutely lost his shit. That was a hilarious race. I wasn't even that big a Sebastian fan back then, but I just thought, oh no, like Vettel might get a podium, and then it was like conk, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. God, yeah. Yeah, people told me about 2009 was how surprised people were that JB was so good. People forget that he was excellent at JB. Like JB was excellent at BAR. Like he was like best of the rest between 04 and 06. Like he was not in a car that was good enough to win the championship, but like he was excellent when he needed to be in that BAR. Very true. And I mentioned it at the top of the show, Cam. Like I would have loved to have seen what that 2010 Toyota was going to do. One second. Oh, Instagram message. Okay, Kenny, I'm having a look. Second. Just got in the background. I've now got when Australia was bowled out for 60 at Trent Bridge. Good times. Don't tell James I'm here. One sec. Cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, he was the only person giving Ferrari anything about an 04. Definitely, Jesus. Yeah. Like, I've always said it. Like, I actually genuinely think that Button's 2011 was his best season. Like, when he was runner-up to a busted Sebastian in 2011, the only man that was basically giving him a bloody nose was Jenson Button. Like, his 2011 in that McLaren was so good. And this was the same time that Hamilton had kind of gone to shit. You know, and like Button was like the only man that was regularly up there challenging him for victories. I've said it before. If I ever made an F1 Hall of Fame, Jason Button is my yardstick. if you want to be a Hall of Famer, the first question I'm asking is, did you have a better career than Jenson Button? Because that is a great yardstick. JB had 15 wins, won a world title, was runner-up in 2011, and had a genuine X factor that he was the best changeable conditions driver on the planet, and was for several years. You know, had a couple of real X factors in there. I like the intangibles in that sense. Like, he had a genuine, like, you know how Madden has X factors or special abilities like that? Like, that would be one for Jenson Button. Like, just the fact he was completely busted in intermediate conditions. You know? So, like, if I ever had a Hall of Fame, JB's the yardstick. If he had a career that was worse than Jenson Button's, I don't want to know. Let's have a look here. BAR 04. Yeah, Takuma Sato was underrated as well. Yeah. Again, it's another part of JB's best. JB was so good with tyres, it was ridiculous. It was just figuring out what the grip and what the management was like of the tyres. And that was one of the most important elements of Formula 1 in that era. You needed great tyre management, otherwise you were never going to win. And Button, like I said, undisputed king of tyre control and intermediate weather. Modern day James Hunt, but without the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'll take those instead. As an estimate, how many would get in that Hall of Fame? How many drivers out there are better than Jenson Button? Good question. Maybe 20? Right now? 20, 25? Something like that, I reckon. Definitely 10. Probably nearer 20. Because unfortunately, like, I don't think JB's top 20 all time. I think he might be just outside. You know? The top 10's nailed on for me. Once you go below 10, you're looking at guys like Alonso, Hakkinen, you know, Mansell, you know, had a better career than he did. You know, Brabham, Stewart, guys that are, you know, I'd say maybe about 20 names. Like, I would probably put Rosberg in over Button. Just. Rosberg's story of him toppling Hamilton is probably worth extra bonus points, because we all know Hamilton has been a monster in the hybrid era. Like, that's an intangible that you rate with him, for example. But I don't think I'd have more than maybe 20 names in above JB. I'd have to give it some serious thought. Definitely 15, I would say. 20 maybe. I think if there was an all-time list and I was going beyond 10, somewhere in that 20 to 25 range, I reckon. So somewhere between 20 and maybe 24 drivers that might be in that sort of ballpark. Yeah, Japan 2011 was a brilliant race. That was the race Vettel won his second title. Everybody forgot that Jenson won the damn thing. And did it brilliantly, may I add. He was excellent and no one talked about it. Because that was Vettel's second championship coronation. Yeah, completely. Yeah. People forget that. Across the 3 seasons they were together at McLaren, Jenson Button did outscore Lewis Hamilton, despite the fact Hamilton won 2-1 in individual seasons. Mostly because Hamilton's 2011 was shit by his standards. Like, that was the year Hamilton had a bit of a meltdown. He had about 4 different clashes with Felipe Massa that year. That was the Hamilton Massa blood feud, and that was 2011. Oh yeah, Hakkinen cakewalks into a Hall of Fame, Vic. Man beat Schumacher twice. Like, Hakkinen moonwalks in. He's like, he's the NFL equivalent of like Terrell Davis, where Davis basically got in the Hall of Fame off 4 really good years. Hakkinen's kind of the same in that sense. Like, Hakkinen's 98 and 99 were insanely good. Same deal. I would have Button over Rosberg. There's a case you can make for Button going in over Rosberg. Definitely. Because Rosberg retired early. And he retired a little bit early, and you can make an argument that Rosberg's numbers are a little exaggerated by the fact that the Mercs has been so dominant. So his numbers are going to be a little bit higher compared to the field. Like, he was driving for a car that was winning 18 races a year. Not so much 99, certainly, but certainly 98. Yeah, Cam, that's a fair point. Yeah, Nelson Piquet is in. No doubt about. People don't talk about Nelson Piquet enough, but like, the problem is Nelson won his titles in a bit of a dead space for Formula One popularity. That's always kind of been the anti-Piquet argument I've always seemed to notice. But no, you're absolutely right, Evan. People do not talk enough about how good Hakkinen was. If you ever want a better quote to sum it up, Michael Schumacher himself once said, Mika Hakkinen was the only driver he ever feared. The only driver that Schumacher was ever afraid of was Hakkinen. Hakkinen was a beast. Doesn't get enough due. Yeah, Mika should have won 99 by way more than he did. Yeah, that's the thing. It did end up being quite tight in the end, 99, because, yeah, Jesus. Because Eddie Irvine was right there, and then there was obviously Ferrari had to go all in on Eddie Irvine because of Schumacher's leg injury. Definitely. Oh, I forgot about PK's big accident. Yeah, very good point as well, Cam. Very good point. Yeah, PK wasn't quite the same after that in the late 80s. Yeah, Fernando Alonso's in. No doubt. Look, I said it before. Alonso's borderline top 10. Said it countless times. I think he's a bit overrated compared to how good some people think he is. But he moonwalks in. He was, 2-time champion, 3-time runner-up. Like, what was it, 30-plus career wins. Fernando Alonso backflips in. Blindfolded. Yeah, he bet on an original Lotus just as Lotus began coughing up blood. That's very true. Oh dear. That is a very good point. The politics game in the late 80s, early 90s, was pretty crazy. If you know some of the stories about, like, Alan Prost, who kicked up a lot of stinks, politically speaking, late 80s, 90s, and Mansell always seemed to have the rug pulled out from underneath him, etc., etc. It's kind of crazy. There's a book about it that I read that my ex let me borrow for a bit. It's called Formula One Fanatic. I think it's written by a Dutch journalist that was covering the sport in like late 70s to like the early 2000s. He writes a lot about it, and he writes a lot about, you know, Senna, Prost, Mansell, Piquet, Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, etc. It's a great book. It's brutal, it's savage, it talks a lot about the death of Gilles Villeneuve and, you know, Derek Warwick's massive accident. It's a brutal book. It holds nothing back about the nature of the sport in the 80s and 90s, but I do recommend it if you're into that sort of thing. It's a very, very good read. I want the 2012 Sauber in terms of the underdog story. Yeah, very true. Very true. That 2012 Sauber had 4 podiums that season. That's fucking bonkers. 4. I think Perez had 3 and Kobayashi had the one at Japan as well. Like, that shit's crazy to me. Like, I remember, I think it was Japan 2012, Kobayashi just beat out Button for a podium spot. And the Japanese fans, who are normally, traditionally, they're all very polite about, when it comes to sport, like if it's a wrestling match, for example, they'll clap politely more than they'll cheer and whatnot. Like, and I distinctively remember, like, Kobayashi gets that podium, and the crowd absolutely loses its mind. They go ape shit for Kobayashi. It was awesome. Like, I think Sebastian won the race, and then all the fans in the stand were just too busy chanting, Kamui, Kamui, Kamui. It's like, it was amazing. That was one of the marquee moments of the season. Fucking brilliant that was. Because I said, when you know the culture and the context behind it, that was an amazing moment. Fucking great. Yeah, Cam knows what I'm talking about. That shit was crazy. They lost their shit. It was awesome. So great. Yeah, Alonso is arguably known more for the things he didn't end up winning now, and realistically, he only has himself to blame. He jumped ship 4 times to try and grab a title, and it blew up in his face every time. Yeah, that's probably fair. It is kind of wild to me that Alonso probably should have won the title in 07. Like, I think the stat is 7 times that season, or 7 more points spread out across Alonso's career, and he'd have won, I think, 6 world titles rather than 2. It's crazy. Yeah, first Japanese man on the podium since Sato in 04. Yeah. So that was the first Japanese podium in 8 years as well. I wish we had more Japan in motorsport. I really do. Yeah, Massa I think had 2 podiums when he was at Williams, I want to say. Hang on, I'll double check it. I know he had 1 at Monza when he was at Williams. He wasn't a complete disaster in that team. He had 5, actually. Monza 2014, Brazil 2014. He was second in Abu Dhabi 2014. The first title finale. Felipe Massa was second that day. He third in Austria 2015, third at Monza. Because he had back-to-back Monza podiums. I forgot about that. So yeah, he had 5 podiums when he was at Williams. Wild shit. Best result there was second in Abu Dhabi, the 2014 season finale. So yeah, he had 5 podiums in that Williams team, believe it or not. So to be fair, a lot of them are forgettable. But yeah. If he didn't attempt to yield or crash on Kimi in Japan, he walks that title home. Yeah, God, Jesus. And yeah, Kamui deserves a lot better than that fucking caterer at the end of his F1 career. Jesus Christ. That's the thing about Massa. He had 2 pretty good seasons when he came back to Williams, when he went to Williams, and then the wheels completely fell off. The problem was that Valtteri Bottas was the one taking all the headlines when he was at Williams, because Bottas was just better than him. Like, we talk about how the first year, like, Williams, like, when he was at Williams, Massa had 3 podiums. That same season, Valtteri Bottas had 6. Like, everybody remembers 2014 for the year that Ricciardo beat Vettel. Not enough was said, really, about Valtteri Bottas was the other big new talent that came on the scene that year. And I'm in the exact same camp as Lewis on this in the chat. Like, I remember the Austria podium and the Mercedes shithouse that led up to it. And I remember the 1-2 Williams were trying to get at Silverstone more than any of his podiums of the team. That's what I remember Massa for at Williams most. Is Raikkonen in the Hall of Fame? Now that's an interesting one. Yeah, Raikkonen's in. Look, Raikkonen is one of those rare, for me, beyond the numbers guys. He has an X factor in that Raikkonen's going to have the appearance record. That's already some extra bonus points because he's in the 300 club. And that's a very, very, rare club to be a part of. But also, people forget he was an animal at McLaren. Like, before he'd even joined Ferrari, the man was like back in the era where you could go flat out on single stints. Like, again, Lewis mentioned it. 2005, Kimi was a weapon. Good God. Kimi's outright speed was ludicrous. I know there's a lot of Raikkonen capers that mention the golden era of like 2003 to 2005 for Raikkonen. And he should have been a contender in 05, but reliability absolutely fucked him over. But Raikkonen's outright speed was off the charts. He was like the Usain Bolt of Formula 1 drivers. His outright speed was insane. Like, Raikkonen has 20 career wins. He's in the 20 wins club. He's in the 300 races club. He has a world title. And he has some level of intangible, i.e. sheer, you had to sort of watch it to see it speed with Kimi in the early 2000s. And if you want a marquee moment, Japan 2005 was one of the single performances of the decade. Like, him going 18th to 1st and going around the outside of Fischer-Keller to win the race on the final lap. That is Hollywood stuff. Raikkonen moonwalks in. Raikkonen is in. Easy. Like, his meme status, his outright speed, he's like I said, he's a 20-win member, he's a 300 race club holder. He's in for me. Absolutely. Kimi after 07 is a different ball game, but look at it this way. Raikkonen was really good in 2012, and like, people forget, like, Raikkonen was also really good first year back in 2012, and he was pretty good in 2013 until the team stopped paying him. Yeah. Yeah, there's a case that Raikkonen should have won the world title in 03 as well. Like the bad times of Raikkonen were largely exaggerated. I think Cam is right. Between 08 and 13, there's maybe only one bad season in there. The 2014 Ferrari was a pile of junk. He gets a pass for that alone, quite frankly. Again, that was the last year of this is Alonso's team, so sod that, quite frankly. And that's the thing, as we went on year to year with Raikkonen, he got better and better in the hybrids as years have gone on. There was still a fundamental case you could make last year that they should have kept Raikkonen over Charles Leclerc by the time we got to the end of 2018. If you'd have said to me, we'll give Leclerc another year and keep Raikkonen, I don't think anybody would have really argued against it. One sec. Cool. Certainly in 2015 when he hit his late 30s, the Kimi. But that's like I said. You guys are mentioning Kimi dropped off. He didn't really drop off. Like, I think he was pretty good in 2016, 17, and 18. Like, he wasn't that far behind Sebastian Vettel, and Vettel is an all-time great, like a top 6 driver of all time in my opinion. So, like, I don't think rumours of Raikkonen's demise, I think, have largely been exaggerated. Like, so for me, Raikkonen backflips into the Hall of Fame. Like, Raikkonen's great. I don't like if you're putting Rosberg in, Raikkonen absolutely is in, as far as I'm concerned. You know what? I might actually start doing a written series on this. Like, Dre's Formula 1 Driver Hall of Fame. Like, seriously. And I would see, well, where's the line and how many guys would I induct as drivers for now? Like, I might let King handle some of the extracurricular stuff, but... But seriously, like... For me, Raikkonen's in. No hesitation. So no one said about JB earlier. Richard Branson promised Brawn £7 million in 09. He only spent 700,000 on the team. What shocking news. In shocking news, Richard Branson is a cheapskate. If anyone's been reading the news, that shouldn't surprise anybody. Yes, I agree, Si. I would have Prost over Senna very, very marginally. It's very close. If Senna had raced for a couple more years, he probably would have cemented it. But But yeah. Kimmy made him leave the sport. Probably go to the top of the hour, boys, so another 20 minutes or so. Ah. Was slaughtered across 05 in the first half of 06 by Kimmy. The crash just accelerated his demise. And yeah, if anyone ever reads the stories, Montoya was a nightmare to work with, apparently. What killed his time at Williams was because he fell out with every engineer he ever had. Like, Montoya was a hothead. He was immature, and he got into fights with everybody. Like, seriously. JPM was talented, but his attitude stunk. That's what did him in, really. Why is that not surprising? Trust me, I was reading about this back in, like, Evo Car Magazine. Like, if you read, like, I read it back in, like, 2002, 2003. Like, I think he called one of his engineers an arse-biter during pre-season testing, and that was like the beginning of his demise at Williams. Like, Montoya apparently was just basically just a fucking nightmare to work with, and that's kind of what did him in. And yeah, if he was beating his teammates and he was blowing people out of the water, you can just about pull up with that, but Montoya wasn't doing that, which kind of just basically did him in, essentially. By the time he went to Williams, he was already on a short leash, and then Kimi was beating his ass. That's why McLaren cleaned the decks in the end. Raikkonen went to Ferrari. And then, yeah, McLaren snagged the world champion and the best youth talent to hit the sport in years. And yeah, absolutely right, Lewis. JPM is like, for sheer talent, JPM is insanely good. He'd be another guy where if he had if you were rating people on sheer talent, Montoya's insane. Super fast, can drive almost anything well. Brilliant in IndyCar, brilliant in Formula One when it comes to sheer raw ability. But there's more to it than that. You know, you need to be a decent team player, and you need to have a good attitude. And Montoya's attitude stunk. Yeah, he's in the Alonso club, definitely. Definitely. Look, man, Montoya was unlucky not to win that IndyCar title he competed in a couple of years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, when Dixon stole it from under his nose and Penske self-imploded, basically. Really, Montoya led the championship pretty much all the way till the end, and then Dixon stole it. If his attitude had... Yeah, Evan, I think he could have won a world title. He certainly had the speed and the talent for it. Definitely. If he'd have shut his mouth and just driven it, a top team would have eventually given him a chance. No doubt about it, because like I said, the talent was absolutely there. No doubt about that in my mind. Absolutely. So, yeah, he had every chance. But like I said, I think he blew it for himself. Yeah, he did punt Rubens off in 03. I do remember that now. Yeah. Yeah, about another 10-15 more minutes, folks. If anyone's got any last minute questions they want to get in, now's a pretty good time. I'll use this little down period while I talk some M101 stuff as well. If you haven't already seen it, our brand new episode, well, not really brand new, but you get what I mean, episode 235, our IndyCar season preview. New Penske order is out right now. Check it out already. It's a 5-person show. All of us regulars and Krista Harday is on it as well. It's running down the IndyCar field and a bit more talk on the coronavirus, even though it's now already massively out of date again. We're like 2 episodes behind on like coronavirus stuff now, but obviously more will come. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to 236. Like, 236 is going to be massive. Like, that... We dedicated a good 90 minutes towards what happened in Australia, basically, and the impact of the virus. So look out for that soon. A certain someone in the chat is editing that episode in the next couple of days. So look forward to seeing that on early access pretty soon. I would say, fingers crossed and all that. So yeah, episode, like I said, episode 235 is out right now. So check that out. That episode 236 will be coming along pretty soon as well. Hopefully next week. We're recording again next Wednesday. That'll be our first watch party. And if you didn't get the hint on Twitter at the time, we're going to be sitting down and we're going to be reviewing what we think, well, certainly I think, is probably one of the best MotoGP races ever, but also also arguably the most important MotoGP race ever. It's Phillip Island 2015. So we're going to sit down, watch that, talk about it. If anyone knows how MotoGP works, and what race came after Phillip Island, that doesn't happen if it isn't for the actions of Phillip Island 2015. Because that's one of the greatest MotoGP races ever, but what happens during that race sets up what happens in Sepang. And I am writing a really long, massive writing project on that incident and everything to do with it on the Motorsport 101 website pretty darn soon. Hopefully in April. I'm about 2,500 words in and I've barely scratched the surface. It's going to be... Basically, I'm going to be running down all the aliens and how the field had developed to get to that point. So we're talking a lot about Valentino Rossi, about Marc Marquez, Jorge Lorenzo, Casey Stoner. Even Stoner, because like Stoner wasn't directly a part of the story, because obviously this happens in 2015. But it's hard not to talk about how the field was formed and mention Casey Stoner's run in his career. That was massive. So Stoner will be in there. We'll talk a lot about the 2015 season in general up to that point. It helps given that Video Pass is currently free at the moment, so I can rewatch all those races if I need to watch them. And obviously Phillip Island, Sepang, Valencia in the aftermath. Yeah, basically. So yeah, you know, that is another long form project that I personally am working on. It's going to be massive in that sense. I reckon it's going to be at least 15,000 words. So that's going to be pretty big. So look forward to seeing that hopefully in April. Hopefully we'll have that figured out by then too. So like I said, there'll be a lot to do with that race and the end of the 2015 season in general coming up on Motorsport 101 pretty soon. So yeah, there'll be a watch party on Phillip Island, and it'll be a key role in my story, which I've nicknamed The Kick. So you can look forward to seeing that hopefully in April, because like I said, work-wise, I probably won't be back until early May, I reckon. So looking forward to getting that out of the way as well. So, ooh, Cam seeing me fat yikes I'm about to post in the Discord. Okay, tell me more. Let's have a look here. Check out my phone now. Whoa! Yikes, that is a big yikes. From Jenna Fry's Twitter account, NASCAR has ordered pay cuts across the entire company during the stoppage. NASCAR officers will see a 25% reduction in salary, 20% everyone else. Budget expenses have been frozen. Employees urged to use vacation days. Jesus! That is a big yikes. That is not good. Jesus. Yeah, that's brutal. That is not good for NASCAR, who were already struggling. They're already struggling, and now they're asking for 25% pay cuts, or at least 20% pay cuts, and urging employees to use holiday days. That's not great. There was a lot of rumours about that with us before we closed down, but thankfully that was the day before the government said, yeah, we're going to pay 80% of people's wages in the downtime, basically. But that's not good for NASCAR. Not at all. Jesus Christ. Oh, dear.
Hi guys. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Last quick chat. Yeah, jeez. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate the fact you actually went out your way to read that. Gives me a thought to segue another plug. If you go on motorsport101.com on the blog section, I wrote a piece in there about I called it 90 minutes from disaster. which was talking about the Australian Grand Prix being cancelled and referring a lot back to 2005, basically. If you don't know an awful lot about me as a person, and a lot of my childhood growing up, you can read a little bit of that if you want a taste about what early Dre was all about, basically. Just joking about having well done steak, which pissed off everyone in my Discord server. It was like, oh my god, you like your steak well done, you fucking heathen, etc. I knew that was going to get mentioned. I don't talk about my dad very often. He's in that post as well. That's in there, basically, and what he was like. But just what it was like sitting down and experiencing USA 2005 and contrasting that to what Australia 2020 was and the situation at large. Yeah, it wasn't anything sophisticated or anything truly special. It was just something I needed to just get off my chest. Fucking heathen. Shut up, Cam. I said medium rares were fine. King took my quote out of context. Also, Jesus Christ, Jenna Fryer's avatar is like fucking scaring me. It looks into my soul. I was like, Jesus Christ, that woman licked Ryan Blaney's face. Just ew. Yeah, just if you want to check out the blog section, that's there as well. It's a bit shit right now because there's not an awful lot you can write about right now. And I love that Viandra's showed up and I'm about to go. I'm going in the next 2 or 3 minutes. But bad luck, mate. You timed that one well, didn't you? Because I've got to go off and I've got to help Kelly out trade some Pokemon as well, and I've got to eat as well. So a lot of stuff I've got to get sorted, basically. But yeah, I just wanted to say first and foremost, thanks everyone for showing up tonight. It really was great. Enjoyed the company an awful lot. I will try and do at least one more of these between now and going back to work full time or being back on the show regularly. So do stay tuned on that. So yeah, look forward to that. If you want to follow me on Twitter personally, you can at Harrison101HD. That's in the chat now. That's my official handle. You can go on there if you want to follow me on there. So yeah, if you want to go on Facebook, facebook.com/motorsport101. Of course, subscribe, like the stream if you've enjoyed it. Please do. You can follow the official podcast Twitter at motorsport_101. Minus the second T, obviously. If you want to back us financially, you can on Patreon. Honestly, I probably wouldn't recommend it during these times, but here we are. Patreon.com/motorsport101. Early access to all of our shows at the $5 level. $10 gets you into the supporters part of our Discord server. You can listen to these shows live as they go out. The Discord server itself is free. Just ask me somewhere if you would like to join it. Let me know. I'll send you an invite link. But just bear in mind, if you're in the server, we record our shows in a private part that only certain people can access. Just bear that in mind. All our written content is also up on the website, motorsport101.com. Check that out if you get a chance already. And yeah, that'll just about do it. Thanks everybody for showing up. And of course, please, please, please stay indoors if you can. You know, of course, this is not part of the reason this is happening is for obvious reasons. It is dangerous times out there for everybody. Please respect the law. Respect what all the hell people are telling you out there. Stay at home. Stay indoors if you can, unless it's urgent. You know, let's not spread this goddamn virus. Wash your hands properly. Sanitize. All that good stuff. Please, please, please continue to do that. Stay safe out there. Please. And I hope to see you all soon. Thanks to everyone that showed up. Much appreciated. You guys are the best, and I hope to see you guys soon. But until then, I've been Dre. Thank you very much for watching, listening in, and I'll catch you guys soon. Sayonara.